everybody, and welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast on rashpixel.fm. I'm Pete Wright, and I am here, as always, with Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, Pete Wright. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Nikki Kinzer.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
I am so good. Do you know of the Myers-Briggs?
Yes.
Yes. Have you seen this link that's been floating around?
No.
The definition of hell for each Myers-Briggs personality type?
No, I have not seen that.
Okay, I just want to read a couple of them to you before we get started because of our topic today. I think that this is super appropriate. So what is your Myers-Briggs? Do you happen to remember?
Oh, Pete, it's been so years since I've did that I don't even remember, to be honest with you.
Okay, well, mine is, let's see, INTP. INTP. And so according to this article, which is hysterically funny, my definition of hell, which is right on, you are eternally condemned to researching an extremely vapid topic using wildly inaccurate methods, mostly involving interviewing people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Oh, that's funny.
I love it. ENTJs, somebody is wrong and they're directing a large group of people. You can't do anything about it and will have to obey whatever inefficient policies they decide to implement. I love that one. This is even better, though. The last one I'll read, and then I'll post the link in the show notes. The INTJs, every time you open your mouth to say something intelligent, something entirely idiotic comes out instead.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so
great.
Good? Yes. We are going to talk about finding strengths today, but before we do that, hopefully you can avoid the Myers-Briggs hell.
Yeah, no kidding.
Before you do that, head over to TakeControlADHD.com and get to know us a bit better. You can listen to the show right there on the website or subscribe to the mailing list. It's right there in the corner. You just sign up to the mailing list. You get an email each week with the latest episode and any other news that we have to share. Connect with us on Twitter and Facebook at TakeControlADHD and call us. We would love to hear your voice, 503-664-4ADD. Okay.
Okay, but I have something to share too.
I do too. No, let me
go.
I'm gonna see if I can trump you.
Okay. About group coaching?
This is exactly what I was gonna do.
All right, go.
No, you win. You trumped me. Let's talk about group coaching. How's it coming?
Well, it's going great. And I just want to remind people that it is open for enrollment right now. So if you are interested in joining a group, either for ADHD moms or with professionals who have ADHD, see how I have switched that around?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
In the website, it still says ADHD professionals, just to kind of keep it, consistent. But please sign up and check out the times that I have available. The groups are small, so space is limited, and it will be closing on Wednesday, and I believe it's May 27th. I should probably double check so I don't give anybody. Yes, it will close on Wednesday, May 27th. So definitely get over there and sign up before then. I would love to have you be part of these groups. And the groups are going so well, and I love them. And definitely come join me.
That is great. Let's talk about strengths. This is such a great topic. This is so good.
Focusing on your strengths. Well, because we've been talking about focus, right? We've been talking about focusing online and all of these great things. But I really want us to take some time to focus on our strengths. And when you're in a job interview and they ask you, so Pete, describe your strengths.
Oh, yeah.
And hey, Pete, what are your weaknesses?
Oh, terrible. And you know what's so great about that? I have a paper, an article written by 3 psychologists from Cornell, from Stanford, and University of Iowa. And it is a scholarly journal article that actually summarizes the research about how bad we are as people at self-assessment. We are terrible at it. And the research says it. We are so bad at determining what our own weaknesses and strengths are. And it's not just about weaknesses and strengths. It's about how well we can handle alcohol, for example.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, it just goes on and on and on. It says here's a quote. On average, people say that they are above average in skill, a conclusion that defies statistical possibility. They overestimate the likelihood that they will engage in desirable behaviors and achieve favorable outcomes, furnish overly optimistic estimates of when they will complete future projects, and reach judgments with too much confidence. over and over again, this research bears out that we're just bad at that. And so I think just finding the tools that will allow you to really identify what you're good at without relying entirely on yourself, because we know we're bad at it.
Well, we are bad at it. And I agree with that article. And I'm not a scientist or anything. I have not given anybody a survey to fill out and tell me what they think. But it's just from my own experience, in life, but as a coach too, it's so easy for people to focus on the bad stuff and focus on all the challenges that they really do either not know, like you said, what their strengths are, or they forget what their strengths are, and they're focusing on all the bad all the time, and they're not focusing on the good. And if you remember our podcast earlier in the year, we were talking about putting more focus on our possibilities rather than our problems.
Right.
And this is really the same idea. Are you putting more focus on what you're challenged with rather than what you're really good at? And it's just interesting because it's the same concept. If we have a goal in front of us, is it serving us to focus on everything that we're doing bad? How, right? I mean, How is that helping us move forward if we're just living in the past and living in this, what Brene Brown would say, this like forest of shame all the time, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And so when we start to focus on the positive and the possibilities that are in front of us, it really shifts our perspective. It doesn't make the hard work go away, right? I mean, because say your goal is to lose weight, it doesn't mean that you get to stop exercising just because you're focusing on how wonderful it's going to feel when you lose this weight. You still have to put the work in, but it definitely shifts the perspective and I think helps people be a little bit more kind to themselves when they are working towards a goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where I want to take this is exactly what you were saying at the very beginning. People just don't know what their strengths are, right? They just don't know. And so I have two ways to find out that I'm going to offer today.
Well, my breath is sufficiently bated.
Okay. All right. So I hope I pronounce this right. It's the VIA survey. I want to say VIA, but I think it's VIA survey. And if you go to their website, which we'll put onto the show notes, but it's viacharacter.org, there's this survey that you can fill out, and it helps determine your strengths. And their tagline is know your strengths, live in character, savor your success. Great tagline, people. I mean, who doesn't want to do that, right?
Right.
And as you were saying, research shows that, well, you didn't say this exactly, but this is what they're saying, is that research shows that knowing and applying your strengths increase life satisfaction and well-being, which just sort of makes sense. So you sign up, you take this quiz. I took it probably in about 15 minutes. It doesn't take long. There's a lot of questions, but it's one of those quizzes where it's the same question, but just worded in a different way. Mm-hmm. And so you get the results immediately, and it comes up with this downloaded, or this form that you can download that has your top 20 strengths.
Okay, so lay it out. How'd you do? Did they line up with what you think you were strong in?
I'm going to get there. Hold on just a second.
Now it's all I can think about.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. Okay, so here's my second idea on trying to figure out your strengths. So I first want you to go to the VIA survey, do that. And then where I got this idea is recently I was watching this recorded seminar by Jack Canfield, and he does the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And it was about finding your passion. It was about, how do you know what your passion is? And one of the exercises that he had the audience do was to write down 2 qualities that we think that people think we have. And I sat there and I'm thinking, gosh, 2 qualities that people think I have. I didn't want to guess because I really just didn't know. So as I was watching the show or the talk, I actually texted a few different people that were closest to me, and I asked them what they thought. If you had to describe me in or what are 2 qualities that I have? I don't even remember exactly how I said it. And so they came back to me with 2 different qualities. Okay, so now that's the second thing to do. So first thing is to go to the VIA survey, fill it out. Second thing is to ask, 4 or 5 people, whatever you want, it really doesn't matter, people that are closest to you, and see what they think. And so if you look at just just focus on the top 5 from the VIA survey, because I think if you do all 20, it's just too overwhelming. But if you just focus on the top 5 and compare them to what people said to you or about you, that's where you can really start to kind of analyze, okay, how close or far apart were the answers? And, what does this mean, for me? And what did I learn? And this is where you can really start doing that self-analysis. Right?
Yes. Well, and this is I keep coming back to the business context, right? And in the workplace, you have both self-assessment but rarely in only the most sort of I think assessment ignorant organizations do you have a self-assessment that does not come in context of a 360-degree assessment, right? Where you're getting peer assessments and assessment from the top and from below. To really give you a sense of, do your expectations of yourself line up with the expectations that come from other people? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that is such a powerful thing. And that was, I was just going to shout from the mountaintops this idea of using your peers as a vessel for delivering to you an assessment of strengths. I think that is that's the number one tool for me.
Well, and it's so interesting to hear what they have to say, because you don't know what they're going to say. And I told them I was doing this for a self-development project. I mean, they didn't know what I was doing it or why I was doing it. I don't even know why I was doing it. I was just I was caught in the moment and like, yes, I need to do this. But what I'll tell you is that it was very eerie to look at my strength profile, from the VIA survey compared to what people said. Now, the words are different, the language is a little bit different, but the concepts are very similar, very similar. And so that's what I want people to do, is be able to kind of look at these things and really take that self-assessment and say, how true is this for me? But then more importantly, what are you going to do about it, right? Like, okay, how can you really focus on your strengths and get closer to your goals, and where are your strengths playing out in your life right now, and where would you like them to be played out more? And I think it's also sort of this comparison of, okay, these are my values. These are my strengths. This is what's important to me. Am I really living by those things? Mm-hmm. And what do I need to change to have more balance in my life, whether that's in work or personal development or family or social relationships? It really doesn't matter. But just how can you focus these really positive things about you and move you forward?
So did you I know you said that some of the words were different that people use, but you found that the VIA character survey really, did it line up to your satisfaction with your peer responses? Like, do you feel good about that? Like they shared the same results?
Yes. I feel really good. I feel like that was a really good, what am I trying to say? Description or of what my values are, what I believe in. I felt really good. There wasn't anything that I disagreed with. Mm-hmm. There was one word that a friend of mine used that I didn't know what it meant. So I had to say affable.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, that's a good one.
I had never been described as affable before.
I would share that. I would describe you as affable as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I learned something new. But the other thing that she wrote on top of, in addition to that, so she said affable, and then the other thing she said was sincere.
Yes.
And in
those two things don't often go. Those two things, when they don't go together, are not, that's not great. You could be affable and likable, but that also may mean that you're, you're really not a very nice person in the world. Yeah, you're not very authentic. That's right.
Yeah. So then, just to share with you, the number one strength on the VIA was honesty. So, and their description of honesty is speaking the truth, but more broadly presenting oneself in a genuine way and acting in a sincere way, being without pretense, taking responsibility for one's feelings and actions. So, what was interesting to me is that she used the word sincere, and that was in the description of my number one from the VIA.
Yeah, that's great.
And then being without pretense, I'm looking at that as being without judgment.
Right.
And for my line of work, I mean, that is huge that I
Yeah.
go to my coaching calls without judgment. I'm just listening. I'm just being present with the
Right.
client wherever they are at that time.
What a
So,
great assessment that lines up with how lucky you are you landed in the role that you fill in the world.
well, and that is something that I would want to share with people is like when I was listening to this, when I was watching the Jack Canfield, it was about knowing your passion. And in my mind, I'm thinking I am living my passion in the sense of my job, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm in a career that I'm really passionate about and I feel really lucky about. But that's where I think people can use this information to figure out what their passion is and be just as lucky. And so, really figuring out what your strengths are. If you're looking for a new career, this is
Yeah.
a great way to do that. But I also think it's a great way to just look at yourself as a person. What kind of parent do I want to be? And am I really living that out? Am I living, all of my strengths of being honest? Okay. Am I making sure that I'm honest with my kids, right? Or do they see that part of me? Do they see that strength? And so I don't know. It's sort of like a self-assessment, but it's also like a check-in. Like, okay, how are you doing in life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We know I can't speak. I'm so passionate about it, Pete, right? We know that this is a strength. So, are you living it to really to its full extent? And what are you giving to the world? Because I think it is important that we contribute to our communities and to, whatever it is that we're doing. Are we contributing our strengths?
Yeah. And I think that goes back to the, leveraging the assessment of others to help you figure that out because, I think just being asked to brainstorm your strengths, it doesn't give you a lot of information. What it gives you is an assessment of how you would love to be viewed in the world.
Right.
Not really how you are being viewed in the world. And so this is really useful stuff.
Or I think people are just so hard on themselves that they don't even get to that. They just don't see any strengths, or they see very few.
Particularly with ADHD, because that tends to cloud some of the latent superhero powers that you may not have discovered yet on your own.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we really want to focus on the strengths and like you said, ask other people, because I think you might be surprised. One thing I want to leave with, and this is also, I think, really important with ADHD, and this happened to me, is how are you going to remember these strengths if you're not paying attention? Because as I was putting this outline together, I could not remember what people said about me.
And you had just done it.
I did it about a month ago. So it was probably about 3 weeks ago that I texted everybody. But that's my point, is that I didn't put it in front of me. I was doing this exercise and I got all excited about what he was saying, and then I did nothing with the information. And then when I was trying to figure out, how do I want to do this show? And I thought, okay, I know Pete's going to ask me what people said.
And
so
you didn't remember.
I need to go back, but I forgot. And so this is what I think is why it's so important that we remember. And it's so important with ADHD because, again, like we were just saying, we just tend to naturally focus on the bad. And so my question to people out there listening is, how are you going to remember your strengths? Does it need to be posted somewhere? Do you need to have a vision board? Do you need to print out this form that you get from the VIA people and hang it up somewhere? I mean, just having it in front of you. And that's exactly what I'm working on now, is that how am I going to remember these things? Because I forgot. I'm like, now what did she say? And I remembered the affable because I had to look it up. But the other things I honestly did forget. And the other thing that was interesting, just on a side note, is I had taken this, the VIA survey a year ago when I was in my advanced ADD coaching training.
Right.
And that was one of the things, and this is where I learned it, was from ADCA, and they had us, fill it out then. So I filled it out almost a year ago, and then I filled it out again just before we started recording the show. And so it's been about a year. Now, the top 5 got kind of moved around a little bit, but they all stayed the same.
And the bottom 15?
I didn't even look at, to be honest with you. I just looked at the top 5. But I thought that was interesting that even a year later, different perspective, don't remember the questions, it still answered it, and they're still, the top 5 is still the same. They just got kind of, switched around a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
Yeah, so there you have it.
I think it's great. I love it. I hope people take it to heart. Ask your friends, ask your peers, and take the VIA character assessment.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for joining us and downloading. Don't forget, head over to takecontroladhd.com. Sign up for coaching. You can get more information on what it is, what it's all about, how these communities get built. We're very, very excited about it. And also, don't forget, catch us on Facebook or Twitter. Subscribe to the podcast for free in iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.